Hello, I'm Sajina Paiza. I'm studying a graduate diploma in infection risk management level 7. Today I'm going to give a PowerPoint presentation on gastrointestinal outbreak in an aged care facility. At first, gastrointestinal infection account for the majority of all disease notification in New Zealand. Every year, about 200,000 New Zealanders acquire food-associated illness, and the rates are higher than in other developed countries. Gastrointestinal infection is generally caused by viruses and bacteria and other microorganisms, causing a variety of symptoms from diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting to abdominal cramps, fever, headache, and rashes that is spread from person to person through direct and indirect contact by fecal oral route. Age-related changes to digestion in gastrointestinal flora put seniors at risk of gastrointestinal infection. The main characteristics of aging is the progressive loss of physiological integrity that affects the gastrointestinal system and its function of motility, enzyme and hormone secretion, digestion and absorption, that includes medication absorption and the metabolism. The common source of infection in healthcare environment, including aged care facility, are contaminated hands, equipments, and services. Other sources include consumption of contamination food and beverage. Among the different organisms that cause gastrointestinal outbreak in aged care facility, I'm going to discuss about the norovirus and the Salmonella typhimurium. It was human norovirus belong to the family Calciviridae and the genus Norovirus. They have a relatively small single-stranded positive sense linear RNA genome, approximately 7,500 nucleotides long. Um, in nucleotides in length, the noroviral capsid is composed of a major structural capsid protein VP1. Human norovirus are highly resistant to harsh outer environments and was found to be highly stable in a wide range of pH from 3 to 7 and at elevated temperature up to nearly 60 degrees Celsius. Um, Another is Salmonella typhimurium. Salmonella typhimurium is a genus of family Enterobacteria that are characterized as gram-negative rod-shaped bacteria. They are mesophiles with optimum temperature for growth of 35 to 43 degrees Celsius. The growth rate is substantially reduced at less than 15 degrees Celsius. They are facultative and anaerobic, capable of survival in low O2 atmosphere, and its diameter ranges from 0.7 to 1.5 micrometer and a length of 2 to 5 micrometer. These organisms are abundant in fecal material, sewage, and sewage polluted water. Consequently, they may contaminated soil and crops with which they come into contact. There are different factors that contribute to the gastrointestinal infection. The first one is the high infectivity of norovirus. The norovirus has high ability to establish an infection and can be transmitted by ingestion of contaminated food and water. Another one is the norovirus persistence in the surroundings. Norovirus is capable of surviving in the extremes of the prevailing environmental conditions. They are often capable of naturally persisting in a wide variety of environments, including water, and can remain infective for varying lengths of times. Prolonged shedding of virus. Prolonged shedding of virus. Uh, Shedding is considered to be prolonged if it continues on or beyond 7 or 14 days in both individuals, both who shows symptoms or without symptoms. Poor immunity. The poor immunity immune system like in aged people can contribute to the outbreaks. And the last one is direct contamination of food and water by Salmonella typhimurium. These factors include intake of contaminated food, that includes the impact of malnutrition, the role of weaning foods and caretaker food preparation, uh, the effect of contaminated water source, sewage control, and lack of health education regarding prevention, control, and treatment of diseases. They had also linked to cold food, and other bakery products, and other liquid food items such as cake icing. ca- uh, Sometimes oysters from contaminated waters have taken the blame for widespread gastrointestinal infection outbreak. Sewage contamination of well and recreational water has also caused waterborne outbreaks of infection in other community settings. The outbreak of infection in New Zealand. Uh, Norovirus is only human enteric virus to cause pandemic, in which uh, an estimated 53,000 cases of norovirus infection occur in New Zealand annually, and in 2006, 7 deaths were reported. There are 127 outbreaks in New Zealand aged care facilities in 207. Another is Salmonella. Salmonella typhimurium is the second most common enteric bacterial pathogen reported in New Zealand, with a rate of 26.2 cases per 100,000 population in 2010. In the same year, a total of 85 human cases were confirmed, in which 73 in North and 12 in South Island. The prevalence uh, the prevalence rate in New Zealand. Uh, the total burden of diseases due to foodborne and waterborne gastrointestinal infection in New Zealand is high. There are an estimated 4.17 to 5.6 million cases of uh, infection every year, and the incidence of disease in the community is estimated at 1.11 episodes per person per year. There are different measures to prevent and control gastrointestinal outbreak. And they are management of patients and residents with norovirus infection. That includes healthcare workers, residents, and patients who show symptoms like vomiting should be predicted as they have norovirus. For that, they should be isolated. Hand hygiene is the most important preventive measures in controlling every diseases, that include hand washing and with soap and water thoroughly for at least 20 seconds in running water, and drying them to prevent cross infection. Another is the uses of alcohol-based sanitizers by staffs, as well as the care receivers, by pouring 3 to 5 ml uh, of sanitizers and rubbing hands until they are completely dry. Although the use of gloves is not the substitute for hand hygiene, it is better than bare hands, but hands should be washed after performing activities with gloves. Isolating the patients or residents showing symptoms, preferably in a single room. If there are more in numbers, they can be kept in same rooms. Patient or resident with infections should be restricted to transfer in other wards or even other care facilities if they are developing the symptoms. If controlling outbreak is impossible in such condition, the facilities must be closed to new admission for preventing ongoing risks of infection. Another is management of staffs. Non-essential staff should be prevented in caring the patients in isolation rooms. For that, least number of staff should be appointed and should be wearing protective measures while caring them. Management of visitors. Visitors for patients can be minimized. During visits, visitors must follow isolation procedures like putting and removing gown and gloves, including hand hygiene, cleaning and disinfection, cleaning the rooms, toilets, bathrooms, vacated rooms, swimming or therapeutic pools, and other surfaces, including telephones, handrails, and door handles, are the most. Household bleach and chlorine dioxin can be used as disinfectant. A protective measure should be used while cleaning vomit and feces. Uh, Proper laundry and food services practice is must. There are other evidence-based infection prevention and control standards of gastrointestinal infection. They include patient cohort and isolation. Avoid exposure to vomitus or diarrhea. Place patients on contact precaution in single occupancy room if they have symptoms. Consider minimizing patients' movement within a ward or unit during outbreaks. And hygiene, transfer and closure of ward. Consider the closure of wards to new admission or transfer as a measure to attenuate the magnitude of an outbreak. Indirect patient um, food hand mm, food handlers in healthcare to prevent food related outbreaks, food handlers must perform hand hygiene prior to contact with or the preparation of food items and beverage. Diagnostic, consider the development and adoption of facility policies to enable rapid clinical and virological confirmation of suspected cases. Personal protective equipment. If infection is suspected, adherence to PPE use is recommended for individuals entering the patient care area to reduce the likelihood of exposure to infectious vomitus or fecal material. Cleanliness of surrounding. Perform routine cleaning and disinfection of frequently touched environmental surfaces and equipment. Staff leave and policy. Exclude ill personnel from work for a minimum of 48 hours after the resolution of symptoms. Patients party. Establish visitor policies for outbreaks, restrict non-essential visitors from affected areas of the facility during outbreaks. Education, provide education to staffs, patients, and visitors, including recognition of infection symptoms, preventing infection, and modes of transmission upon the recognition and throughout the duration outbreak. Another is active case finding. Begin active case finding when a cluster of cases is detected in a healthcare facilities. And last is communication and notification. Develop a written policies that specify the chains of communication needed to manage and report outbreaks and notify to appropriate local and state health departments. The Treaty of Waitangi. The Treaty of Waitangi is an agreement signed by representatives of the Queen of England and leaders of most Maori tribes when Britain first claimed New Zealand as a colony in 1840. The settlement of Waitangi in Northland is still the focus of events when New Zealand celebrates the signing with a national holiday on February 6 every year. The treaty governs the relationship between Maori and non-Maori and ensures the right of both both of them are safe. The the relationship between government and Maori under the Treaty of Waitangi has three principles. They are they are partnership, participation, and protection. Partnership is engaging with Maori community Inquiry place-based learning, finding out about the Maori origins of mountains, rivers, history, having Maori representatives on boards of trustees, equity for Maori and power sharing. Partnership relies on welcoming and having genuine relationship with Maori community. Participation is working to strengthen home school relationship. Maori participating in school decision making, school environment reflecting the biculturalism, aspiration of Maori family and equity for Maori, and the protection means actively protecting Maori knowledge, interest, values, and other tanga. Identify language and culture are important expression of what it means to be a culturally educated learner. Te whare tafawa. The Tifare Tafawa is a model developed by leading Maori health advocate Professor Mason Dury in 1984 and recognized the four components to Maori health. It can be compared to the four sides of a house of all which need to be healthy for a house to be strong, that focus on physical health, spiritual health, family health, and mental health. Physical health is connected to person's spirit and mind. The capacity of physical growth and development is required for optimal growth. Spiritual health encapsulates the Maori around a person and its impact on an individual spirit. It requires a consideration of environment, a link to past generation, and a connection to higher powers. Family health play an important role in the well-being of a person. They can contribute to sickness as well as assisting assisting in curing illness. The sense of belonging and a strength that family provide is one of the key foundation of Maori health. At last, mental health is thought, feeling, and emotions that are invariably linked to physical and spiritual well-being. Maori acknowledge the vital link that thoughts, feelings, and emotions have to overall health. For to take an example, let's take an example of gastrointestinal infection. As in physical health, our physical being, that means us ourselves, supports our soul, spirit, and shelters us from the external environment that includes microorganisms and other contributing factors. In the spiritual health, our spiritual essence have the power to overcome the disease by who and what we are, where we came from, and where we are going. In the family health, family provides us with the strength to be who we are, and family can contribute to illness and assist us in curing illness. And lastly, in mental health, we have capacity to communicate, to think, and to feel. Mind and body are inseparable. And finally, uh, we can be able to protect us and fight against different infections. And in conclusion, this presentation discusses about the gastrointestinal infection and its outbreak in New Zealand, and New Zealand caused by microorganisms, norovirus, and Salmonella typhimurium. There are various guidelines and evidence-based practices to prevent and control gastrointestinal infection, and the Treaty of Waitangi and the Te Whare Tawhawha has contributed in promoting our health. Thank you.